Before we get into today's show, let me tell you about HubSpot. If you're hustling in the trenches to build a business or bootstrapping one of your own, let's talk about an AI-powered tool that can lighten up your workload a bit. HubSpot's Campaign Assistant is a game changer for creating marketing campaigns at scale. It quickly turns your key selling points into a cohesive pitch, which helps you deliver knockout emails, ads, and landing pages in minutes. So let Campaign Assistant take care of the campaigns so you can get back to growing your business. Work smarter, not harder at HubSpot.com/campaign-assistant.
Howdy, folks. It is Thursday, September 15th. I'm Jacob Cohen here with Juliet, Bennett-Rylah, and this is the Hustle Daily Show. Today we're going to be talking about a decentralized museum that's raised almost $10 million. What that means, Juliet's going to tell us because I'm honestly not quite sure. But she is, because she went there and spoke with the people involved. All this as museums like New York's MoMA are considering raising tens of millions to go deeper into digital art. So we'll talk all about it. But before we get into all that, let's take a quick look at what else is going on in the business and tech world. Let's get crack-a-lack. All right, first things first, SoftBank, the investment group whose Vision Fund's investment unit, Masayoshi Son, started in 2017 in a bid to take over the venture capital world, is considering putting together a third Vision Fund, Vision Fund 3. Thing is, the initial $100 billion Vision Fund 1 was hit when massive bets didn't pan out, wink, wink, WeWork, and Vision Fund 2 is now worth 19% less than the $49 billion they put into it. The Tokyo-based giant would likely use its own money for a third fund if it goes forward with the plan. All right, moving along, some news out of the work office suite space. Zoom has been quietly developing email and calendar tools. The company's video software is obviously widely used. 200,000 businesses pay for Zoom. But to access Zoom, a lot of people go through gatekeepers like Google, Google Chrome, Gmail, or Microsoft with Teams and Outlook, and even Slack, when you're looking at something like Zoom chats. And the company is looking to defend itself and open up some more business opportunities. Zoom has $230 million of cash in the bank. But sales have slowed, right? Things are moving offline, not on, and revenue rose just 8% to $1.1 billion in the July quarter, and its stock is down 85% from its peak 2 years ago. Meanwhile, Canva yesterday debuted a suite of visual tools for work, tools for documents, no-code website building, presentations, and more. While its focus is on the visual elements of these items, it surely places it in closer proximity to something like Google and their work office suite. Do we think this is a smart move from Zoom, Juliet?
Yes, I think this is a smart move from Zoom if its products are actually good. I think it'll take a lot to get people to move away from the things that they're used to. And that means, I want to do my video chats on Zoom. I want to do my email and Gmail until something comes along that convinces me that it's better. And if you can make a Google Docs-like product where I can highlight something and change the size, and it doesn't change the size of all the words next to it, that's it. I'm sold. That's all you need to get me. My whole life is Google. I will change if you can do that for me. So we'll see.
Yes, we work in Google Docs a lot, and when you have 10 people working in a document, a lot of times the formatting could get wonky. And if you can solve that problem for us, we'll be the first to sign up.
Yeah, 100%. I'm all in.
Okay, moving along in other news, a package thought to contain explosives was sent to Northeastern University's VR lab in Boston, along with a note ranting about VR and Mark Zuckerberg, despite my own rants on VR and the fact that I live just outside of Boston. I was not the culprit. Also, Netflix is holding its global fan event, ta-dum, for company news and first looks at new content on September 24th. And Adobe found the three most misunderstood emoji are the face with a cowboy hat, the cherries, and the upside-down smiley face, which I use quite frequently, so I guess I'm very misunderstood. And lastly, before we get to the main story, Bronco Wine Company co-founder Fred Franzia, the man behind Trader Joe's $2 Chuck wine, has died at 79. Our colleague Zach did a whole big feature on him and the story of $2 Chuck back in 2018, when he found that Trader Joe's at the time had sold over 1 billion bottles of $2 Chuck since debuting the beverage in 2002, and that Some locations sell as many as 6,000 bottles a day, or around 16% of the average store's daily sales. Chuck, I guess we'll see you on the other side. All right, and with that, let's talk about a decentralized museum. Juliet, what does that even mean?
Okay, so when somebody first told me about this, I was like, that sounds stupid and I don't want to go. But then I heard a little bit more about it and I was like, that sounds pretty cool. So I went to a launch event in Los Angeles for it. And here's what I learned. It is called Arkive, and it's not online at all, really. Everything that they acquire is a real object. And when I say real object, I mean like that could be a physical piece of art, but it could also be a video. One of the acquisitions is a video, or it could be a piece of performance art or a dance, but it is something that exists in the real world. So these aren't just digital artworks or NFTs. I suppose down the line, there certainly could be a piece of digital art, but right now that's not what they are. What it does mean though, is it does not have a building. There is no place that you go, and that's the Arkive Museum. Members sign up online and they participate in the curation process, whether that is people saying like, okay, here are the 5 items you can vote on, or people submitting an item and saying like, I think we should acquire this. And then when they decide on a piece that they're going to acquire, they do record that acquisition on blockchain. So there's your crypto element. Mm-hmm. And memberships are like NFTs.
Yeah.
And the point of the whole thing is that it kind of reminded me, as he was describing it, like the opposite of Indiana Jones. Because Indiana Jones is always like, I got to take this thing because it belongs in a museum. But more recently, a lot of people have been asking, does it really belong in a museum? Like I was just reading about some artwork from what is now Nigeria that was ultimately looted by explorers from like the British Empire and putting it in a museum way over here. It has nothing to do with the culture where it was taken, but now it's over here.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of push to decolonialize museums and not just make them more diverse, but give stuff back.
Okay.
So with Arkive, because there's not a museum, anything that they acquire can go anywhere. So there's no central place that it has to go. It's just kind of like if they were to ultimately acquire something that, let's say, the artist was from San Francisco and they were really embedded in queer culture there, like it doesn't have to go in a museum. It could go in like a coffee shop and anyone who went in there could see it.
Okay.
So right now they only have 5 acquisitions. That's not a whole lot. They are aiming to have over 30 by the end of next year. But eventually it'll be an app. So let's say you are an Arkive member or you're an Arkive enthusiast at this point, and you land in New York and you're like, oh, I wonder if there's any art here. The way it was described is it'll kind of look like Pokemon Go, where you're like, oh, there's a piece of art over here and I'm going to go look at it. And then you can check into it.
That's cool. This all reminded me yesterday. I was reading about the MoMA, and apparently, they typically have gotten around 3 million visitors a year. Last year, they were only getting around 1.5 million. They're looking to sell about $70 million or more worth of art this fall to expand their digital footprint. And even I read possibly create a streaming channel, which is interesting. And, last year, 35 million people engaged with their online content across the website, YouTube, social media. That was up from about 30 million before the pandemic. And they've dabbled not super closely with this kind of stuff with NFTs yet, but they apparently have a team of people just monitoring this space. And I could see them doing some cool things here. I wouldn't be surprised if they do.
Yeah. I think the pandemic really pushed people to consider what they could and could not do online. And over that time period, especially in the first year, I saw a lot of really bad virtual art that just did not work. Plays where it was like, I am going to mute myself and turn off my camera and not pay attention to this because it's bad. But I also saw a lot of really amazing art. I saw a Zoom magic show where someone like did a trick from their computer inside someone else's house. I don't even know how it worked.
That's amazing.
Like I saw some stuff that was really cool. And I think we saw a lot of creativity around what can be done online. I don't think it's ever going to fully replace in-person art. We know that people are back in museums to a certain extent. They're back in movie theaters and playhouses. But I do think there's a lot of potential there for some really cool art that's accessible to you wherever you are in the world.
Yeah. All right, bada bing, bada boom. That's going to do it for us today. Folks, thanks for tuning in to the Hustle Daily Show. We're a proud part of the HubSpot Podcast Network. Our editor today is Ezra Trupiano. Our executive producer is Darren Clark. I'm Jacob Cohen here with Juliet Bennett-Rylah. We've got a lot more tech and business coverage in our newsletter. If you're not subscribed, what the heck are you doing? Go get yourself signed up at thehustle.co. Have a terrific Thursday, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Hey guys, if you listen to the Hustle Daily Show on Google Podcasts, we want to let you know that the option will no longer be available pretty soon. Google is sunsetting its podcast app sometime in early 2024 in favor of YouTube Music, and we want to give you a heads up before it's too late, since that time's almost here. The Hustle Daily Show is available everywhere and anywhere that you listen to podcasts, like Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you're using YouTube Music, we are there as well. If you're an Android fan, there are plenty of apps like Overcast, Pocket Casts, Player FM, and more. So just search for us wherever you decide to listen to your favorite podcasts.